Well, here we go. I bought some of these little connectors with little tails on them. Tiny little connector that you have to push that little tab on the back to get out. And then there's this tiny little part. And the prototype amplifier that I made is going to get its trial inside Chibson with the stripe. Only the bridge. Now, in the picture, these things looked to be somewhat larger than they turned out to be. They're about, I'd say, a third smaller than I thought it would be, which is nice in a way because it's really tiny, and you know, it suits this tiny little board very nicely. However, the pitch of the pins doesn't match the pitch of the breadboard pins on there. So I have to make a tiny little modification here in the middle to be able to hook up the 4 wires that I need to be able to put that in the circuit in the guitar. So the plan is like this. Get you in position. I want this to be mounted up against this wall right here, just below the cover. The potentiometer is here to be able to adjust the output that you need. And once I get it wired up to this, I'm going to press all these wires down, and I'm going to put an insulation layer where my battery can sit safely with it glued to the cover. I'm thinking possibly so that it doesn't rattle around inside the guitar, and that this will provide a layer of protection from metal cases on batteries. So that's where I'm going. So I've got to get my tools out and open up a couple of holes in for the middle pins, and then if I can force the end pins in, the 2 middle pins will go in, and then I'll be able to get my ground power input and output. So I decided to use my own circuit first before the ones that I bought with the operational amplifiers on it, because I did it. Alright, so we'll go put in there. Stand by. Okay, I've got the cavity wired, what I think is per my drawing, and I had to put a few jumpers on the top of this board because of the initial prototype layout is not exactly the way I would build it now. So, but anyway, it's there, and the plug plugs in. Oh, goes the other way, like that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave that out, and this rat's nest the way it is for the moment until I get some strings on it and can generate some output from the pickups and make sure that everything's working as I expected it to, and then I will clean it all up, snug it, and put it all together, and we'll call it a done deal. Let's see how it goes. Well guys, I'm just dying to try this out before I go to bed. Everything else works. Let's go that way. Yeah. Everything else works as I planned. I guess I'll just let that hang out for now. Alright, back on. That's not as planned. I should have output. I have no output. I have no output from the card. I have no output. Okay, back to the other bench. Find out why. It's morning. And when I went upstairs last night, I was racking my brain trying to figure out what didn't I do right. And I was thinking and I was thinking. And I got to the top of the stairs and I go, oh, maybe I forgot to connect the output capacitor. And then this morning, I woke up and I had my cup of tea. And it dawned on me then that, oh, besides the output capacitor, maybe I didn't finish wiring the entire connector plug in my exuberance to get to the other bench and get the strings on the guitar. And that's exactly what happened. I connected the two outside pins and completely forgot about putting power plus and the output signal that would actually end up going into the amplifier from the board. So I am going to finish wiring those two pins right up in there, which are very, very, very small. And we'll plug it back in and give it another shot. Alright, the two jumpers are in. Like I said, it's not pretty, but it only has to work. It doesn't have to be pretty. Let's go check it out. Alright, let's connect up the battery. I should put on some glasses. Well, nothing seems to be getting hot, so that's a good sign. Oh, let me turn on the amp. Okay, that's on. Ooh, came alive. Alright, let's carefully move this thing around. Let's see. Let's see. Okay, that's Humbucker. Sound. Not enough though. Alright, I'm gonna put this face up. I'm gonna get my little screwing driver and adjust this output right here. That's what this pot's for. I may not have enough gain on the amplifier board to drive the output. It looked good when it was open load. Oh, I'm at the end of my travel too on my pot. So no, I do not have enough output gain on my little amplifier board to be able to drive the input impedance to the amplifier wireless, and probably not the amplifier. So, the drawing board. Good news and bad news. It may not be the board at all, still to be determined. But rethinking this, I'm thinking, what the hell's going on? Well, it turns out that I was stupid in my integration with the board into the guitar, where I brought the tap that should go to ground to the input of the board, and of course I wasn't getting what I needed here. So what has to happen is this tap has to go to ground. When I pull this up, it turns on the battery, and center taps the pickup, and then this point that's going here gets disconnected from the blue, so then it's open to send a signal to the input of the board, hopefully amplify it, and then comes up here that gets attached to the blue one to pull it, and then goes to the pot, and then out through the switch and to the jack and to the amplifier. Let's hope. I gotta go rework the guitar. We're back with the preamplifier designs. This was a single channel, and I was able to buy this on AliExpress, an OPAMP design instead of a 2-transistor design. And I decided to go with this one because first it's smaller, has surface mount components. It already has pins on the end. So those pins, right there, I decided to use by soldering the wires from one of the mini connectors on there, because the pitch of the pins does not fit the connector. This is too wide. So the other thing I decided to do was to remove this terminal block because it was inconvenient. And I decided that since I needed a relay, I was going to put the relay on the board, because one of the pins on the board is ground. The other pin on the board is the output from the amplifier circuit, which goes through and out the white wire when you apply both ground and power across the coil, which is the centers. So 2 and 3 of the coil. It also needs a flyback diode to suppress the tiny amount of voltage that's going to come from this tiny little coil in there, just because that's the way it's normally done. And so this will be the installation. Now I also had to make an alteration. This comes with a 10K pot, and it's designed to have a much larger gain than I require for the guitar. So I downgraded it to a 1K pot so I could get a much finer adjustment for the output. I'm hoping that that is the right one when I actually get it inside the guitar, because I did test it with the input from the West Creek, which is where this is going to go, my West Creek Racer. This is going to be my first guinea pig. So that relay was required because when I had the output of the amplifier connected directly here, what happened is that the input and the output was directly across the full humbucker, and even though you wouldn't think there'd be any straight throughput with this thing, it was acting as a large resistance in parallel with my pickup, and that was affecting the humbucker mode. So when it's in humbucker mode, this relay needs to be disengaged. So when you pull the switch, you'll put power on the relay, because the ground is already connected, always connected. You put power on the relay, you put power on the board. The input signal will come out here, go in the board, through the board be amplified, and come out this side, and when that's closed, be sent to the switch, and the switch will send it to the jack, which sends it to the amplifier. That's the plan. Let's see how it goes. I have to get this cleaned up, and then I have to get to the guitar. Now before I end up adding all of this circuit and the battery, I need to open up the West Creek and rewire this volume switch as per my drawing to make room for this circuit to attach into it. Stand by.